Today we're going to talk about Trevor Noah's journey of taking care of his mental health and what he found out. So the first thing would be that when you go to therapy, but this is pretty much obvious, everyone somehow tends to think that there must be something wrong with you if you're going to therapy. However, Trevor Noah finds that anyone can actually benefit from therapy and that you don't have to be broken, or that going to therapy doesn't mean that you're more broken than other people, that there's something wrong with you. And anyway, I'm pretty sure that no one has absolutely perfect mental health. And the second thing would be that nowadays people tend to jump to conclusions way too quickly about diagnosing someone, for example, with ADHD. People somehow think that if you've just got one symptom, for example, if you're easily distracted, that automatically means that you've got ADHD. But you can also let yourself be distracted quite easily and still not have ADHD. It does need a number of symptoms to be able to be diagnosed with that. And those who are diagnosed with ADHD and do have ADHD, it's not totally, they don't necessarily have exactly the same symptoms. It can look different from person to person. And the third thing that he found is that his ADHD is linked to his depression. One analogy he came up with is that with a camera, if you zoom too much, you can't recognize what the object is because you just see some kind of surface. But if you zoom out too much, then this object is so little that you can't recognize it either. It has to be exactly right for you to actually recognize what this object is. He somehow thinks that due to his ADHD, he's stuck in a certain kind of zoom that makes him ruminate a lot and doesn't make him see things clearly, and that he has difficulties getting a certain thought out of his head and stay stuck. And then the fourth thing he found, one type of Japanese art pottery that he finds really inspiring is this kind of Japanese art called kintsugi. I think that's how it's pronounced. And basically this is this kind of pottery where the cracks in the pottery actually is what makes the pottery beautiful, as in that even though we're not totally perfect and although we've got cracks, that can be what makes us beautiful, and that doesn't mean that we're broken. These cracks are actually what makes this pottery beautiful in some way, which really reminds me of Susan Cain's book, Bittersweet, which is really good. And it reminds us that we can make something beautiful out of the cracks in our lives. However, something that he doesn't believe, that many other people believe, is that whatever happened to us, the hard things that happen to us, somehow happen for a reason. He doesn't think that we should be grateful for our adversity and that we should be happy about the fact that it happened to us because it does cause lots of wounds. Traumatic events definitely don't always lead to resilience or post-traumatic growth. In most cases, they actually make us worse. There's kind of a eraser test where they ask people whether they would erase the thing that happened to them if they could go back. Many people nowadays probably would say, because of this whole be happy that it happened to you because it happened for some kind of reason, would actually say that they wouldn't erase that. However, Trevor Noah strongly believes that if he could erase what had happened to him, he would have done so. He thinks that just because we've survived the storm doesn't mean we should wish to keep it or that we should be happy about the fact that it happened. Now, that definitely doesn't mean that we should wallow in self-pity. We definitely should try to make the most of it when it's happened, but we shouldn't be grateful about the fact that it's happened. We shouldn't somehow believe that it had to happen to us because of some kind of lesson we had to learn. But that doesn't mean that we shouldn't make the most of the situation and turn whatever has happened to us into something good. So what he recommends instead of the eraser test is basically like a pencil test, that we don't think about whether we would have wanted to erase what happened to us, but that we just ignore basically that part of what happened to us, not think that it somehow happened for a sort of reason, but that we only should think of how we would, from this point onwards, how we want to continue, how we want our story to unfold. If you want to know more about how to take care of your mental health, you can watch this video here by Laurie Gottlieb.